Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Need to Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Heezy, and I'm joined by my co-host, a man whose lights are flickering like crazy. I love it. If you're watching the video podcast, Paddy B is going through windows like no other. It's Paddy B MTG.
Hello. Sorry. I
Dude, you
didn't
know what?
get
Sorry, I
the
got
show
dark
notes.
mode on my Google Docs now, so when I look at it, it doesn't like.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
nice.
should think about that.
Yeah, it's a Chrome extension. You gotta get that. Gotta get that. We're not gonna talk
Okay.
about Google Docs today, as nerdy as that could be for our nerd culture podcast. Today we're gonna review season 4 of Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai Never Dies. Paddy B. What's really funny? A little behind the scenes. Ooh, cracking open a cold one for Cobra Kai. I like it.
Gotta utilize my mug here.
Nice,
Fresh
nice.
fresh one. Sorry. Go
So no,
ahead.
you're okay. So behind the scenes a little bit, we were getting ready for this episode, and I don't know. I must have texted you Thursday or Friday because we were going to review season 5, and I was like, "Hey, we never reviewed season 4." So a
Nope.
little bit of a scramble this week to make sure that we got this knocked out. But yeah, and instead of fantasy football quit this week, every week we like to start with a little fantasy football stuff for the Discord, things going on. I want to talk about being kind for a second, Patty B.
Okay.
So at time of the recording, it is Sunday the 12th, and Mac Jones was just benched on the final drive of the Patriots game against the Colts, in which they lost after
Yeah.
throwing one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen in my entire life. If you get the chance to watch it, folks, that's great. But what I don't like to see, I really hate it when I go on social media and I see people tagging the players that are doing poorly and like piling onto them. It is one thing to like tweet, oh man, I'm kind of done with this, like you know, and they can sometimes see that too, but when it becomes like a personal, like, I don't know, I made a post on Facebook, Patty, where it's like I really do feel like I have been over Mac Jones most of the season after the way he acted last year on the sidelines. I was like, okay, I think that this might not be the best job for him, to be honest, and um I think that it would be really hard, and I think that sometimes we need to put ourselves in the position for somebody to do something their entire life. Like, this is all Mac Jones has done. This is all Mac Jones is he's a quarterback. That's what he is. And so to have to finally come to the realization that your time is coming to an end, you're no longer going to be a quarterback, you're no longer going to achieve your dream. Like, that would be hard for anyone emotionally. And I just don't think that we need to make that harder by attacking people. Like, I hope that like you put down your cell phone for a second if you're tweeting at a player that lost you fantasy points or whatever, and just think like, is my getting on my frustrations worth what I'm typing?
Yeah. Um that I think that can be said for a lot of things.
Yeah,
Where like
we see it in nerd culture all the time.
nerd culture, like yeah, with a lot of Magic Twitter, because that's what I follow a lot of. Um and there is like you want to be able to constructively express your feelings, right? But like just blasting someone and calling them out, just like it, nothing's
Yeah,
gonna
and
change. It is what it is.
I'm
Like
not saying like I'm like completely innocent of doing stuff like this. I just think
yeah,
more often we should all take a step back and be like, what am I putting out there? What's the energy I'm putting out here? Because like, listen, it's hard. Your team, your Patriots fan, you're 2-8. Your quarterback has thrown an interception on the final drive of like 6 of those games, maybe more. It leads the league in interceptions. But you know what? I bet he knows that. I bet he's aware. I don't think you need to tell him. And I think about like the number of like Cho Chang from the Potter franchise having to delete
mm,
her social media after that movie. I think about some of the Star Wars people. I think of Hayden Christensen, and just think about like I was thinking about driving today, and if Mac Jones had instead been drafted by the 49ers, what would his career look like? Right? And like we're all a victim of our circumstances in a lot of ways. And like, I think that, if whether it's a football player, whether it's an actor, whether it's a gamer, like I don't know, we just need to be nicer.
For sure. There's a lot of dichotomy and just like it feels very like we have to be against each other. There has to be conflict, but that doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah, the conflict gets clicks, right? And like I think that life has become too much about the clicks and less about the people. So
for sure.
All right. If you want to talk about Hayden Christensen, fantasy football, all things that are great like that, head on over to our Discord link in the show notes. All right, Nerd Fact of the Week. It is a Cobra Kai Nerd Fact, and I had to call Paddy B to tell him this fact, and Paddy B did not believe me.
I didn't know.
Paddy, how old do you think Ralph Macchio is?
So, like, I figured it came out in, like, the 80s, right? So I figured he was, like, a teenager. It's, like, for the first Karate Kid. It was, like, mid-80s, right?
He was not.
Which, yeah, it's apparently. So I was thinking, like, in his 40s, 50-something. Like...
Yeah, so, Ralph Macchio, 62 years old.
Doesn't look it.
No, he looks 40. He looks
good for 40. Him. A lot of people say I look like younger than I am too, especially when I don't have my beard. Like it's hard to find wrinkles up here. So hopefully I have the same kind of success as Ralph Macchio has had in looking young and deceiving us all for years. Because how old did you say he was when he was filming Karate Kid?
I think 21 in the first one. And
that's
then
crazy.
He finished, I think I saw 32 by the end of his Karate Kid films.
Jeez. That's wild.
That can't be true, though, because is there something after Karate Kid 3? Because that movie came out in 89. Here's the thing, and I think this is the thing that really hammers it home for me, is that William Zabka is only 58. And he looked way older than Macchio in the first one. Like he looked like they were both supposed to be like 17 or 16.
Yeah.
And like if you were to have me guess which one of them was like in their 20s when filming The Karate Kid, it definitely would not.
Billy looked older.
It would have been Billy Zabka. Yeah.
Yeah. The true Karate Kid.
The true Karate Kid. All right, let's dive in. Season 4. Where did we leave off, Paddy B? What happens at the end of season 3? Do you remember?
I'm trying to pick back up. I watched all of season 4 yesterday and this morning.
Did you?
Yeah. Like Friday night, a bunch of Saturday, and then this morning. I watched the last 2 episodes.
So, at the end of season 3, I believe, we get a glimpse.
Oh, they join up. Like, yeah.
We get a glimpse of them joining up, standing in front of their combined dojo, and they're ready to go. So that's kind of where we left off last time on the podcast. What are your first memories of watching season 4?
It was post-COVID. Well, like they filmed in 2021, so like that was pretty big as far as that. There was rumblings during that time of like we were going to see Terry Silver this next season, and I think that was maybe some of my first like impressions. Like, oh, we're going up a notch here. because that dude was crazy.
So I watched this immediately after watching season 3 the first time. So it was actually like a pretty smooth transition. That kind of like, I think you were blending some stuff on one of the
Like 2 to 3.
Yeah, and like here, I expect that my brain might start to do that a little bit as well. But I remember. I don't want to get like into spoilers. Like if you haven't watched it, I do think that this one's getting close. It 2022 is when it wrapped, I believe, or when it finally finished airing. The awards are from 2022. That's why I say that, Patty.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Because this one was actually nominated for Screen Actors Guild Award, Nickelodeon Kids Choice Award, and a Primetime Emmy. So really, really strong season for Cobrai season 4. And my first impression was, honestly, a bit of a letdown after season 2. I was not as impressed with this one. At the beginning of the season, I should say. It falls into a lot of the things that I said could be better. It's just about the show in general. But by the end of the season, it finishes really, really strong, and I really loved the ending of this season.
Yeah, I kind of equate this one, if we're talking Star Wars, this kind of feels like Empire for me. Like, we have some like the darkest timeline of events. So,
dude, I mean, it is a darker season, and I don't know that it's as dark as season 5. We'll get into that in the next couple weeks, but it definitely takes on a tonal shift a little bit in this one as Silver joins the cast. Should we drop the charade and dive into our overall impressions?
Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Okay. So, kind of just like a high-level look at what we're reviewing. I'll go first. I have a problem, and we'll get into this during Could Be Betters, but like, how long do Johnny and Danny end up working together, Patty?
I mean, not much, right? Like
an episode and a half, like less than that.
Pretty short time.
It is such. This show has like a real problem with it, and we'll get into it in Good Betters, of like setup, destroy, setup, destroy, setup, destroy, and it's like it's so annoying. Well, there's like a lot of really good things about this. There's like we always talk about the character growth in this show. Like I think last season we talked about Amanda's character growth. We've talked about Johnny's character growth. We talked about like all of these opportunities for these characters to really get put through things and go through their paces. And this season had no shortages of that.
Mm-hmm.
What about your impression?
Yeah, I think this is kind of the shift from we've gone to a full shift from it being about Johnny and Danny to about the kids, right? They definitely, well, they're still a big part, right? And especially with the two leaders on each side, it is. I found the storylines that I was most connecting with, and I thought were some of the best, were with the students.
I gotta ask, like, is there any? I guess I don't really have a sub theme section of the show, but with that shift, is there any like sub themes in this one? I think of bullying in this season is like a huge, not only like the in your face bullying that happens, but also like the way that Silver interacts, the way that like the types of bullying you encounter are different in this season and show different ways of bullying, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, 100%. Whether it's Silver with his various ways of manipulating and bullying people into doing what he wants, to Kenny's experience with the LaRusso son. So
Yeah. And also, for what it's worth, Johnny and like Johnny bullying his students and Sam calling him out on it.
sure,
We
yeah,
even see some of that. So that's kind of my overall impression. And like, if I were to give this season a theme, that would be it. Like, it is
bullying.
actually about bullying and the effects of bullying and things like that.
I like that. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character this season?
Um, for this season, I do. My favorite character for this season, it kind of goes into my like favorite main and then favorite side is Robbie. Like, especially watching the last two episodes today, where like, are we good to go into spoilers now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, after the tournament, right, he loses to Hawk, and he follows his dad to an like abandoned Cobra Kai dojo because they're started expanding to other locations since they won with Terry's big plan to modernize and brand it and make more. And he just like he sees all the things that he did wrong. Like I was trying to do better, right? I was trying to help this kid and like put him on my wing and like get him on the right path. But like Kenny had taken a swift turn, and he kind of saw that in the during the tournament. And just like, I want to stop blaming you for things was another one of the lines that like struck me there. So I think Robbie had some of the biggest growth, and there was a big focus, I think, on the blending of style, right? Like where it's not all about defense, it's not all about offense, and finding your way to win was big.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite character. Well, let me add on to this because I was gonna say Robbie, but I'm changing mine just because I'd like to get more content in.
Mm-hmm.
I love Robbie's growth. I love Robbie's discovery in this, and I think that it goes really well into the next season, and it's really cool. A character that I really love this season because she has a harder time in her own journey, and because of the way that it's presented, is actually Tori. Tori feels like the only people that have ever helped her, right, are Sensei Kreese and Sensei Lawrence, right? Like they're the only people to have listened. They're the only people that, especially Kreese, right? Kreese specifically has made her feel the only person that she really feels has helped her, and that's hard, right? Because you have Amanda LaRusso coming in and offering real help, right? Like real meaningful conversations, real meaningful help. Like she really does care, and I think for Tori, it's really hard to understand the difference between the manipulation of Sensei Kreese and understanding is Amanda trying to take advantage, like what is in it for Amanda, right? And I think that Tori actually handles it really well, especially by the end of the season. She's seeing the problems and trying to battle them and trying to overcome these things that the same thing that happens with Robbie, right? Like, but she doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't have an out. Like, it's not like Johnny's there to pick her up and help her the way that there's for Robbie. So she's stuck like, what do I do? How do I make this person, Sensei Kreese, happy while also understanding that, like, I want to do it the right way and I don't know if I'm being taught the right way. It's a really complex character. And I think we talked about that in season 2, how complex she was. But she goes through it this season, and
yeah, I think a lot of doing it the right way comes in season 5.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
Absolutely. But those seeds are sowed here, right? They're set up here.
Yeah, especially with the way that Amanda like says her groceries, right? Like does the actual kind of help, and it's hard for someone who everybody has an angle, like her aunt, right? Who's just like waiting, like where's the disability payment? It's like, and it's crazy that kind of stuff like happens, and um, it's hard to get over like what's your angle, um, and I did love that with Amanda LaRusso and with Tori.
Yeah. Any favorite storylines for you this one?
I think it coming down to the girls, right? Having that the whole setup for the All Valley 51, um, and the way that they have like structured. See if I can say this right. Like
Structured the team
they
tournament.
yeah,
Yeah.
the way they set up the team tournament, and then how like how they displayed the entire story, and they brought that girls fight between Tori and and Samantha just like to the forefront, and
And
kind of the
having
pinnacle of that relationship.
yeah, yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say too. No, it's really great, and it also goes into kind of what I was talking about with Tori, where like she feels what she feels, and she has a reason for feeling it, and um, yeah, I think that I think that the storyline of like the three dojos, and it coming down to Miyagi Do versus Cobra Kai at the end is really cool, and having it be Kreese's pupil versus Danny's pupil, right? Like, I mean, it's all very poetic, and it also for the kids had that, like you said, that defined meaning from that relationship.
What's wild too is like I feel like I was at least on the villain side, where like we're talking about Tori, like I felt sympathetic for the kids, right, who are in Cobra Kai, right? Like I felt like I love Robbie. Felt sympathetic for Tori's situation and Kenny's situation, even though they're the people leading them are these pieces of crap. Um, it it was an interesting like seeing that. Like, why am I feeling that way for the kids, but like not for Cobra Kai as like a whole?
Yeah, no, I love that. Um, I think my favorite storyline. I want to go back to the bullying thing because as we're talking about this, I'm thinking more about like you think about the way that Stingray was treated,
Mm-hmm.
right, and how it has the impact on the show. And the more I think about it, I do think that the storyline of like how bullying impacts people is my favorite storyline of this season. Whether it be Sam bullying Tori, Tori bullying Sam, whether it be Kreese bullying Stingray, whether it be Anthony bullying Kenny. That whole, I mean, the Kenny Anthony storyline, for example, is a huge overarching theme of this season. It goes into
Mm-hmm.
your favorite character, like Robbie, and like what he sees,
Mm-hmm.
and his opinion of Anthony and his opinion of LaRusso after watching that unfold, right? And um, I don't know. I think that if I were to highlight a storyline, it would be maybe that of Anthony and Kenny and the lessons to be learned there. I mean, you see at the end of the season, I think it might even be the last episode, Anthony trying to apologize, like, "Hey man, like I messed up,"
Mm-hmm. At
and
the tournament,
yeah, and then Kenny just
the
not,
crap out of them.
yeah,
Yeah,
and not accepting it, and
yeah. Like high school's gonna be hell for you. See you there.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
it's
Like.
it's it's so hard, and it's such a problem, especially like I don't know if you remember junior high, but like junior high sucks for everybody. I often say that to people. I've had parents who are Magic players, talk to me about like their kids in junior high, that are these Magic players that are going into this situation. I'm like, junior high sucks for Junior high, middle school sucks for everybody. Nobody is actually happy. Like, it's all, everybody feels like they're the worst and everybody's so much better than them, and like everybody has a bad time there. And for these kids, like it's amplified from like parental drama, from trying to discover themselves. I mean, Kenny got the worst of it. Like the gaslighting.
Yeah, it's horrible stuff done to him.
Yeah, like really bad stuff. And
stealing his clothes from the locker room.
Yeah, just
like, yeah,
it's sad. It's really sad. And I think that I haven't finished season 5 yet, so I hope that something good happens there. We'll see. But the growth that Anthony displays in this season, learning from his mistakes, especially after, in all honesty, Danny learns from Johnny on maybe having a different approach. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, what? Like, literally employing, and what's crazy too is like that happened like before the tournament, and so it didn't really like. I don't think he realized he was doing it, and it didn't really click until middle of the tournament.
Right.
So like that was kind of interesting that like that Danny showed him, you can have a fire.
Right.
Or whatever. Johnny showed him that he can have a fire and be, it's okay to use aggression. It's just picking your spot.
Yeah, I mean that comes to a culmination for like you said, Danny, when they're talking to Hawk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hawk and
Sam
and Sam, yeah.
Let's move on to Could Be Betters. This isn't a segment where we tear the thing down. This isn't a segment just like things that we think could have made this a little bit better. Things that we frame things as ways to improve rather than things that we hate. And I just have the same one. I just it feels like nothing can happen for like more than an episode or two. I did look, and it does actually look like Eagle Fang and Cobra Kai were together for 3 episodes. But it felt shorter than that too.
Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do?
Oh, Miyagi-Do, thank you.
Yeah.
It felt shorter than that. So maybe that's just like a perception in my mind. That maybe it could be better on my part. But, I think that I think that it's a little bit of a problem. It's actually less of a problem in this season than other seasons. Or like there are a couple of episodes where things go on, have longer storylines. But it does feel like good things can't happen for very long in this show. And maybe that's just part of it being a drama. But
yeah, that makes sense. Kind of what we alluded to before as well with like, it kind of has a slow start, which is crazy on a 4th season of a show, right? Like, and I think part of that is just because of the moratorium on fighting like each other.
Yeah.
But like before the tournament starts.
They also have to set up multiple characters, right? They have to set up Silver. They have to set up Kenny. There's a lot of setup that has to happen in this season.
Right. So like I get why it happened, but it because of that setup, it led to a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah. Is that could be better for you? Do you felt like it started a little too slow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any others. Do you?
No. So it's great.
Let's talk about Lovitz. What are your biggest Lovitz this season?
Oh man, the first one. I think it's like the first scene of the season is Terry Silver playing the piano in like at his place, and just like you feel unhinged, like you can feel that coming from it, but you don't. It's not like explicit. So that was something that I love to start. What about you?
My first love it is, I think that the scene between Sam and Miguel before Sam's fight, where like Miguel is just in his head, like it was a really powerful scene for both of them. So that one's the first one. I'd say my second biggest one is, I think we kind of covered it, like the moment where Danny is teaching Anthony and like using a different method of parenting and understanding that all your kids aren't going to be the same, and like you're going to have different ways of doing things to that are more or less effective with different people is really good parenting advice for what it's worth.
I love how they wrote off his brother's spouse, right? Like as kind of this airhead, and then like she goes deep into their parenting. Like, so why do you love the one kid more than the other?
That is a good
and watching them freak
Oh,
out.
when the man like tries to grab the notepad.
The thing.
Yeah,
this is the test.
Yeah.
What are you writing? Just feeling accused.
Any other big love for you?
I loved prom night. That was so fun, and it added to like when Tori and Robbie finally got together. I was like, all right, this feels right.
That's a really
they're such good dancers.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one. You did remind me. Oh crap! No, I just forgot. Hold on.
I've got another one I can do.
Yeah, go ahead.
So another one that I have is with as far as like growth and is actually Eli, Hawk this season, where like during the moratorium they corner him and shave his mohawk, and he loses all of his confidence. And throughout the season, he's kind of in the dumps, and his friend helps bring him back, right? The Binary Bros, and at the end, like Moon giving him his actual like you see the like physical shift when he like hopped on the mat and like.
You love his mat hop. You said that in season 1 too.
Huh?
You said that in his little mat hop he does.
Oh,
you said that. Yeah. You said that in season 1 too.
There's just so like the energy behind that is infectious. I love it.
I do have another one. It's not the one that I was trying to remember, but I do love it when Robbie teaches Cobrai Miyagi-Do karate. I think that it is. It obviously plays a huge part in the tournament, but it also goes to show the type of person that Robbie is, where he's he's not above learning and understanding things. It's a really good bit.
Yeah, showing like because that's a huge hole, right? Where like if you're just all offense and no defense, like you're gonna get got.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and this kind of goes into the very end of the season. Another love that I had is with Sholo's character Miguel deciding to not fight, right? To not go, and then hopping on a bus, right, to go down to Mexico City to find his dad. Like that whole with Johnny getting drunk again, right, and like that storyline kind of came to a head as well with like him saying I love you to Johnny, and then say I love you too, Robbie, right? Just like broke him, and he just like wasn't right for the tournament. And he recognized that like after he got hurt of like I'm not going back out there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go find my dad. Yeah. So
it's a good. It's a really good moment. I do remember the last one that I had, and it is the teenage angst that Sam feels when her dad texts her, and he's like, "Don't do anything I wouldn't do," and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna," and she jumps off the roof, to the other rooftop. That I like that moment a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. We're just like, we're not jumping. Like, oh yeah, with the mattresses, just try not to miss them if you fall. That's crazy.
Let's rate it on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 being people should not watch this. To if they've gotten this far, they gave up on Cobra Kai, or how would you rate this on a scale of 0 to 5?
It's
a 5. It's your empire. I love
it. And I mean that's what I compared it to. An empire is a 5. So
yeah, I think that I would give this a 5 too. I actually think it's like one of the better seasons. A lot happens in the season. A lot of growth, a lot of setup too. Like it has really good setup that you're really excited for the next season of Cobra Kai, and I think that that's pretty awesome. Bonus, rake me over my candy takes. What does that mean? You eating the pumpkin?
Not as bad as you quote.
I didn't say anything.
Whatever.
Said,
you destroyed me on Twitter.
I just want to be clear. I posted on Twitter, what are the 3 worst candies outside of candy corn? I didn't say anything about the pumpkin candies you're eating. Everyone else said something. Corn. They're not. Actually, if you ask the people in the reply to me on Facebook and Twitter, those are worse than candy corn. Listen, man, it's all good. Like
speaking of bullying love
what
like
you
cyberbullying.
Love what you. How is this cyberbullying? Those aren't candy corn. Those are pumpkin. They're called like something pumpkins. They're
mellow cream pumpkins.
Mellow cream pumpkins.
Which is the same thing that's used to make the candy corns, which is not as bad as people say. And pixie sticks get all over, and it's like,
holy crap! All right, I cannot believe that you're saying that that's better than a pixie stick. But it's fine. Like, love what you love, man.
I will.
Yeah, my wife loves candy corn.
That's cool.
I mean, it's a point of contention in our marriage, but we get through it. Yeah. We get through it.
Exactly. We get through it, we move on. But I wanted to get that on there since we were kind of close to Halloween and we were talking about the bullying theme of this episode.
We didn't get to do our Halloween episode. That's totally fair.
Right.
What's the best candy in your opinion, Paddy B?
Oh man, I will always go for a Snickers.
That's fair.
It has all the different things, and it's just the perfect little blend. Snickers or Twix.
Yeah,
it's gotta be something chocolatey.
Yeah, so I do have a belief that Twix is the objectively best candy bar, and I think that when I say objective, I don't mean like it's not like one. I do have a bias because Twix is my favorite, but 2, if you don't like nuts, your go-to is often Twix because it offers that same kind of like crunchiness, chocolatey caramel stuff that like the Snickers people love. And it's not like anybody that loves Snickers isn't like, no, I hate Twix. Because Twix is like non-offensive deliciousness. So like if you were to rank vote candy bars across like the US, I bet Twix would win the presidential candy bar election.
Just because we get the vote of the non-nut folks.
Yeah, exactly. It would either be that or Reese's, right? Like it has to be one of those 2 that would win. But Twix is my favorite.
There. Reese's is Shelby's favorite candy, so
yeah, Reese's is delicious. My family, my son and my wife both hate peanut butter and both love Reese's, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
What? How is that possible?
They say it's different. It's just the Reese's peanut butter is just different. They say. If you want to talk to Paddy B about his love for candy corn, where can people do that, Paddy B?
They can find me on X at Paddy B MTG.
Find me at He's a Game. Go on the show at Need to Nerd Pod. Like, sub, and review. Best way to support the show. Paddy B, no Paddy pull this week. Unless you change your mind. But we'll see everybody next week with a brand new episode of the Need to Nerd podcast.